Guys, this is dangerous. I've been drinking. But I wanted to do a real quick video. I wanted to do something just to answer. Somebody had messaged me about formations. What does Phalanx do? What does Wedge do? How do they act differently? And where are they most beneficial? Alright, so let's talk about this. Cavalry Wedge, okay? I thought everybody knew this, but apparently it's not as common knowledge as I thought. So let's go over this real quick. We're going to make this super quick. Cavalry Wedge, or not Cavalry Wedge, but Wedge formations in general are going to split the deaths across your tiers. So if you have tier 1 and tier 2 engaged in battle, and they're taking damage, then you're going to have tier 1 and tier 2 deaths. If you have tier 3 and tier 4 are engaged in battle and they're taking damage, you're going to have tier 3 and tier 4 deaths, okay? That's just how Wedge works. Phalanx, on the other hand, is going to send your lowest tier to die first. So your lowest tier is going to take deaths while you're sparing your higher tiers, okay? Now, we're going to look at a report again, which I know I've already shown, but just follow me here, okay? Now, to answer his secondary question, which is best for defense, I have to say Phalanx, just for the reason that it is going to send your lowest tiers to die. Your lowest tiers are going to take a majority of the deaths, whereas your highest tiers are going to be much less likely to take heavy losses, okay? Now, in Phalanx, you still may take some deaths on your higher tier troops. In this case, if you're running Cavalry Phalanx, you still may lose some T3 troops. You may have T3 deaths, even though your T1s or tier 2s may not all be dead. You still may take minimal losses. However, in a wedge formation, the losses would be very different because they are spread in a much greater range on wedge than on Phalanx, okay? Thank you. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to mention your name because I did not ask you if I could. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Now that we got over that, best for defense is Phalanx. Best for blind attacks. You know what? We're going to do a separate video for this later, but just so I can finish that thought here, best for blind attacks would be a wedge formation. We will explain more of that here, probably in another video, because some of this actually gets pretty in depth. But let's look at this here. Let's look at this. Let's see. Let's look at. I know we've all seen this report before. I know we've all seen this, so just follow me here. All right. Now he's using Cavalry Phalanx. We just talked about how Phalanx is gonna primarily send your lowest tier to die. You may have some shared deaths on a higher tier, but primarily he should have had most of his lowest tier cavalry die before you know, too many of the higher tier get touched. And ranged wedge, since it's a wedge, you're gonna have deaths across pretty much everything that gets sent. Let's look and see. Actually, this is actually really good because now we get to cover this report in a little bit more detail. So ranged wedge, you use this when you're attacking a larger army or blind attacking or something like that with these big rallies, because you're gonna share the deaths. You're gonna share them. It's not just a front line is gonna take a hit, and then your second line, you know, if your front line, it's gonna be shared. Let's look at it. Let's look at it here. Let's look at the battle report, okay? So as you can see, Bren Chong took deaths on all three tiers, okay? Deaths on all three tiers. So as you can see, since we did a wedge formation, the deaths are spread across. Now, the reason you are seeing the ranged units not take as much is because it's a direct counter for what he was using, so they're not going to have as many losses. We didn't know what he had. We were blind attacking, so we did basically a 1-1-1 formation. As you can see, even split of all three troop types, infantry, ranged, and cavalry. So this is why you're seeing this. Since this was the direct counter, it's going to take less losses, but you can see the losses were still shared amongst all troop types. Now, let's get down to this guy's shit here. Alright, now, as I said, he was in Phalanx, so Phalanx is going to send primarily your lowest tier to die. Highest tier filled up infirmaries. Now, guys, that is actually a natural mechanic of the game. Your highest tier is natural. The highest tier engaged in battle that is taking damage is going to fill up your infirmaries. So all this bullshit that we keep hearing about, you know, your lowest tier is going to fill up infirmaries and your highest is going to die, wipe that out of your fucking mind, because it's not true. Your highest tier is always going to fill infirmaries regardless of what you're doing, okay? So you see 941,461 deaths on his tier 1 cavalry. Yes, he still had some tier 1 cavalry left, but look at the loss difference, okay? Look at the loss difference. Now, like I said, Phalanx is going to primarily send your lowest tier to die. It is not going to directly share. It's not going to let multiple tiers engage at once and take equal, or I guess it wouldn't be equal, but not going to share deaths across multiple tiers, because it's going to send your lowest to take a brunt of the battle. Now, since there was only 64,699 left, that means that his tier 3s were actually up to bat and taking damage as well. As you can see, they were engaged, so they took losses too. If he would have had probably double the amounts down here, we would not have seen this at all. Actually, it might have had to have been more than double, since there was also 448,800 T3 that were wounded. So if you would have had significantly more, this would not even be in the equation, just because of the way that the formation works. However, that's not the case here. So anyways, guys, I know, real quick video. I'm sorry for making that super quick. I'm sorry for not going into super detail, but we will be covering this more in the near future. You know, as far as when each formation is most useful. And we're going to talk about defense first, because I've been actually getting quite a few questions on how to run a certain style of defense. So we're going to be talking about that here probably in the next video. And we'll go, ooh, look at that. Look at that. What do we got going on here? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Level 4 darkness. Level 4. Level 4. Alright, guys. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Stay sexy as fuck. I love you guys. Wankster motherfucking wargasm out, guys.